Off by introducing yourself, maybe giving us a little background and telling us your story and how you lost your vision. It would be very helpful.
Well, okay, my name is Lowell Conley. I just turned 87 years old. I was born with an eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa, which in my childhood I could see to ride a bicycle and could see pretty well much how to get around, but I couldn't see features on people's faces. And at 9 years old, I attempted to go to public schools, but that didn't work out because I couldn't see. I couldn't see in the dark. I could see in the sun, but not in the dark. But I went to blind school when I was 9 years old, and that was in 1937, and I graduated in 49, and learned some trades at the blind school. I learned to tune pianos and to make brooms and so forth, but they don't teach broom making anymore. It's not a desirable occupation for blind people these days. There's more opportunities in computers for blind people, and it's enabled a lot of blind people to hold jobs down that they couldn't do before computers came into existence. And as I got older, my eyesight dwindled. I'm just barely have light perception now, but I've never been bitter over my eyesight. I've always just accepted it and led a pretty fruitful life. Altogether, I've got a wonderful wife that is my eyes, and I've had a lot of help from the Independent Living Center here. They've provided me things that I've needed to live independently, and of course I don't live independently, but it's enabled me to live a more independent life, let's say. And so that's the extent of my life, and if you want to know any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Do you want to talk about what you've done for work over the past 87 years? Or I guess how long were you in the workforce, or what did you do?
How long was I what?
How long were you working? You want to talk about like playing piano or anything like that?
Well, when I got out of the blind school in 1949, I worked at Star Piano Company.
Yeah.
And I think I made probably 90 cents an hour, but back then 90 cents would buy a lot of stuff. And I worked there for a while, and then I got laid off, and then I got a job at Newcastle at the Jesse French Piano Company. And I got laid off there, but I got called back. But by the time I got called back, I had another job in Richmond at the Burke's Camera Shop, working in the darkroom.
Cool.
I developed pictures for a couple of years, and then the superintendent of the blind school came over and offered me a job at the blind school teaching broom making. And of course I kind of laughed at him, told him I didn't have no college degree and I didn't know how I was going to handle that kind of job. And he asked me, he said, when can you move over? He didn't even take no for an answer. So I worked there for 4.5 years. And then I worked at a little shop over here not far from where we're at now. It's called Nettle Creek Industries. Worked there for a while.
Cool.
And in between times I tuned pianos and had a janitor supply business that I sold out of my home. And that's pretty much the extent of my working career. I did work at Reed Hospital in the darkroom for a while.
Developing X-rays?
Pardon?
What were you doing in the darkroom at Reed?
I was working, developing X-rays in the darkroom.
Cool.
And then I played music ever since I was 16 years old. I came home from the summer from the blind school, and my brother had borrowed a cornet from the Salvation Army. It was laying on the bed, and I picked it up, went out in the porch swing, and started tooting on it. I said, I got to have me one of these. And I had $25 saved up, and I went and bought me a trumpet for $25, went back to school that fall, started taking trumpet lessons. And by the time I was 18 years old, I was playing professionally in a dance band, and I've played since then. I also got a chance to play for one of the presidents one time. in 1960, I was asked to play the steam calliope for the Republican Party. And we traveled all over Indiana, and I got my picture made with Richard Nixon. So, and when he got in that trouble, I didn't show anybody that picture. So,
do you want to talk a little more about the music? Like, how has it been being a blind musician? Because you're a pretty prolific musician, Lowell. You play a lot of different instruments.
well, for one thing, I started out playing the horn, but back in those days, all the good piano players had drinking problems. And so these guys would promise you with an oath that they wouldn't drink anymore, but they'd invariably get drunk about halfway through the job. So I'd have to take over and play the piano the rest of the job. So I guess that's how I got started playing piano. And of course, the valve trombone it's primarily the same as a trumpet, except it's got a bigger mouthpiece and it's a lower range instrument, but it fingers the same way and it basically blows the same way as a trumpet. So I play that, and then I fiddled around on the accordion for a while, so and I used to play accordion with a country group for a while. We did some Western songs, and I played accompaniment on that on the accordion, but I'm trying to get rid of some of my instruments. I got too many instruments, and I'm afraid my wife's going to be stuck with them if I don't, me being as old as I am. So,
how has it been being a legally blind musician? How have you been able to learn to play music throughout your vision loss?
Well, I took music lessons at the blind school, but I never got proficient at reading Braille music. And when you read it, you got to memorize it, because it takes one hand to read and one to play.
Yeah.
So anyway, I never got good at reading music, but I mostly played in groups that improvised.
Cool.
That's something that, like I like to play in Dixieland groups, and most Dixieland bands are bands that just play from the heart. They just play, they improvise. They play, I don't know how to explain it, but they just play from the talent that God's given them. Some people can't play the piano unless they got the music in front of them. Others can play without the music. And right now we're playing at Joe's Pizza a couple times a month, and the piano player is a terrific piano player. She is wonderful. And she can read or she can play by ear, but usually the ones that work with me and leave jobs throughout the years were people that could just play by ear. And so we just kind of made up our own renditions of all these tunes, that we played. And it was back in the days of the big bands nowadays country music's taken over, rock music, but this was before the rock era came into effect.
I think that's all we really have. I mean, I asked a lot more questions just because I was interested, so you kind of answered the questions we're supposed to ask in the first couple minutes. So if you'd like to go back, you're welcome to. If you want to talk more about your musical career or anything else, we'd love to hear more.
That's about the extent of mine.
All right.
Thank you much for having me.
I'm here for you.